I think sometimes it might be a little intimidating, feeling like I'm in my classroom opening up this door to something that I don't have control over. I'm not bilingual. So it's a little scary, it's a little uncomfortable, but it's so important.
Welcome back to Teaching Bilinguals, even if you're not one. I'm Sarah Vogel with the CUNY New York State Initiative on Emergent Bilinguals, and I'm here in the lovely town of Bedford Hills in Westchester County, New York, at Bedford Hills Elementary School. We're going to take a look into some classrooms, and we're going to ask teachers what it means to them to be advocates for bilingual students. Over the last decades, Bedford Central School District has become more diverse. Multilingual students and their families have been moving to the town from countries like Guatemala and Honduras. Bilingual students, mostly monolingual teachers. It's a challenge. But Bedford Hills English as a New Language teacher, Miss Jennifer Conti, and 5th grade teacher, Miss Elizabeth Condon Kim, have risen to it.
If you're in a group that has a book that's in English and in Spanish, do you think you can copy quotes from that book in Spanish? Show me what you guys think. Yes, I can copy quotes in Spanish from my book.
Having different languages is only going to help them. It's only going to let them, go further. And to not feel threatened by it, just to be excited about it and continue to encourage it and embrace it.
The first tip from Liz and Jen: views students' language backgrounds as resources in their learning.
Being an advocate for emergent bilingual students means creating a classroom culture and really a culture in our whole school and in our whole district where bilingualism is something that's celebrated, and that as teachers we show our students that our languages are tools that we can all use to help us be successful in our learning, in our lives, in our studies. And these are some language and culture portraits that we worked on at the beginning of the year to build community in the classroom and get to know each other, learn about each other's languages and cultures. So Randy, when he presented his to the class, talked about how he speaks about half and half, Spanish and English. He hears both languages, Spanish and English, during his day. He talked about his hair being very much part of his family and that it looks just like the way his family and his ancestors looks. We tried to use the term emergent bilingual when referring to our students because it's a term that I think more captures all of us and our language abilities.
It really focuses on what our long-term goal is. What do we want of them? We want them to become bilingual. That's what we're working toward. We're not just simply working for them to learn English. It's more than that.
Second tip, they create a culture of inclusion by reading books featuring multicultural and multilingual characters.
This book is about a newcomer who comes to the United States, doesn't speak the language, and the story is from her perspective. She's trying to figure out what's going on. They're visiting an apple orchard. And we read this book and we spoke to the students about it, and we asked them questions like, what could the teacher have done to help her feel better? What could the other students do to make her feel more comfortable? And it really developed a sense of, wow, this is not easy.
And lastly, they've learned to let go a little and to become co-learners alongside their students. Jen speaks Spanish, Liz not so much. But as an advocate for her bilingual students, Liz is willing to try.
It's hard to explain. Maybe can Dayanara help, and then you add on to what she says, and let's both learn Spanish together. Initially, I was uncomfortable using or really having Spanish spoken a lot in my classroom because I felt like I was the teacher and I needed to know what was happening and what was going on all the time. But I learned to let go and have patience, and developing that patience really helped me also develop some empathy and realize while I'm sitting here like trying to understand a language that I don't know, that's what my emergent bilinguals often are doing all day long.
Let's recap Liz and Jen's tips for teaching bilinguals. They set a culture that acknowledges students' language identities and strengths. They discuss multicultural literature to build empathy across difference. And they recognize that they won't always have all the answers and become co-learners. These practices and more make them advocates for their bilingual students. Join us next time.